All right, so I'm gonna start this video off like this. I'm not gonna bring up the name of these other tokens, and I'm not trying to talk down on these other communities. I think these other communities are gonna do fine, but I wanna explain something. As you can see here, Fuzzy is playing chess, and the dev has been playing chess the entire time, and I'm gonna show a perfect example how. Fuzzy already started off geniusly with timing, dates, all of that. But as time went on, you saw derivatives pop up. And those derivatives copied the same moves as the dev to make it look like there's some sort of connection. Created the NFTs, then created the chocolate bars, then created these, third group of NFTs essentially. And you saw other developers doing that same move, trying to show that there is some form of similarity between the development. But this is where the chess move came. Not David became and came out and said that he's not making any more posts anymore. He's basically letting us just CTO the entire thing and made it look like he wasn't showing up anymore. Took the token down a little bit, but didn't do too much. And then you started to see all these other tokens rug. And then a month or so later, you start to see Fuzzy reposting again. Then you see Not Brad pop up. That was a precision move and a great way to hide your tracks and make them, they can't follow you anymore now. They tried, they were trying to copy everything, and now you cannot show any connection at all. And that, to me, right there, just on a deeper level on that, was genius. But now we're gonna go into the new post because this is phase 2, volume 2. And as you can see, these details of Fuzzy are getting even more with riddles, something similar to what your BG123 type of imagery would look like. In his older posts, they were kind of easier to digest. These ones might have something in there that you'll find out 5 years later. Now I'm gonna start out with what stuck out to me the most. And as you can see, Fuzzy is in checkmate. But I look at that building and I was like, this building is too specific. It has to be something. And I kept on looking up Federal Reserve, SEC, all these different buildings in America. But then I remember Not Brad location is in Japan. And then you can see in the back, there's a samurai. I forget the other name that somebody else mentioned. So it had me thinking of Japan and what buildings could be in Japan that would be similar to this building. So I started looking up different infrastructure, and to me, I thought I found similarities. It doesn't mean I'm correct, but this is the closest to what I got to where I think these look like that building. And what these buildings are the Omatachi district. Omatamachi. It is the financial district in Japan. Now, Japan is one of the earliest investors or supporters in Ripple XRP, and that adoption comes from SBI Holdings. They partnered with Ripple very early, then built SBI Ripple Asia. SBI would be in another section, but not too far away from Otemachi. So I think connecting the two, for me personally, with doing this finding, makes sense. And I found it. So showing the Shogun, which was on the chessboard, just sitting in the back there, chilling, wasn't even moved yet. Now back to the chessboard. You see silver pieces and gold pieces. Silver being the better utility compared to gold. But what I also notice is that the person with the gold pieces was mostly going after the pawns. And I would consider the pawns to be investors like us, the little guys. And then when you take that, that's where the power actually is. And that's why you see on the scale, you see a pawn on the scale, tilting the scale, because your normal investor is where I think a lot of the strength in community builds in anything. So if gold being Bitcoin, and then still tying this around, so if gold being Bitcoin and the people that are marketing Bitcoin, they're all marketing towards the pawns. And for me then, in that sense, guiding the normie people in the wrong direction. And who is the one guiding? Well, when you look at the Lucid Chair, you see a sailor hat. Who do you think he's playing? Well, ironically, maybe Michael Saylor. And he says bears can't play chess. And tying it around anyways, when I think of bears, I think of Brito. And he might be correct that Bitcoin is at its end game. Because I truly don't think he's helping anybody but himself. And if you look at the door, there's no doorknob. And what are they playing for? That key. And it almost looks like Fuzzy's trying to give him this extra piece, like telling him, like, this is what it is, this is what it takes. You also have the ace of spades in his eye. When the ace of spades appears, the game is no longer casual. It's the death card. US soldiers used it in the Vietnam War. It was a psychological symbol, which meant this is unavoidable. You also have 7 points on the crown. And then you have volume 13. Now, 13, to me, or from my findings, it goes into the Grateful Dead, which is the 13-point lightning bolt. So 13 could be transformation, awakening, consciousness shift. But then you also have this number at the top, which then ties into this post, no more Mr. Nice Guy, the best revenge is massive success, which is BG123, which then ties you to this post from Bloomberg, US launches criminal probe into Bitcoin price manipulation, which is eerie. Because all the FUD you're hearing with one Binance, and that's who we tagged into it with CZ, and then the close connection between Bitcoin and Tether, which gives you the XRP Bitcoin flip idea scenario, if something bad was to happen. But then when you add up all these numbers, it turns into 101, which then you could break down to 11, and then 11 being the first master builder number. It's the wake-up number. And there's still much more, I think, to come up with. You got 589 on the clock. You have the orbs in the room, which is usually what you would consider spirits. You also have those red trap doors on the chessboard, which could have been somebody cheating, but it didn't work. And I don't know why, but where he's sitting and how he's sitting also kind of reminds me of The Godfather. So what do you think? Is he playing against Michael Saylor? And Michael Saylor maybe just being an actor in this game right now? Also, you see Trump coming up with I don't know what it is, Trump RX. I don't know, something with prescription. But when you look at it, what do you see? XRP mirrored. And then just to wrap up this real quick at the end, why not throw this in there? Just a what if. What if? Give me a like, comment, follow. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you see something that I didn't talk about. How do you feel about the building that I think it may be? But you cannot convince me otherwise that this is the best meme coin you will ever see. Nobody's doing it like this.